Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. We got a big weekend of boxing this weekend. Moses Atauma taking on Dillian Whyte, Nick Ball, Sam Goodman, Hrgovic taking on David Adeleye, and Raymond Ford taking on Abraham Nova, plus Hayato Tsutsumi and Muhammad Alakel, all fighting this weekend in Riyadh. Let's talk about Nick Ball versus Sam Goodman. I am going to do a video on Moses Atauma versus Dillian Whyte separately. I don't want this video going too long, so that'll come out in the next few days. But today we're just going to talk about Nick Ball, Sam Goodman, and everything but for that fight. Nick Ball, 28 years of age, 22 wins, 13 knockouts, 0 losses, 1 draw, WBA featherweight champion of the world. He is an extraordinary fighter. I saw a thing, and he's the only current British world champion in any division in boxing, which is very surprising. And if this weekend Sam Goodman gets the upset, all of a sudden no British champions, that has to be some sort of record. Like, when was the last time there was no British champions? And to be honest, saying that, I think there's a lot of good British fighters out there, but for some reason, no champions. He's taking on young Sam Goodman. I say younger, 26-year-old, 20 wins, 8 knockouts, 0 losses, 0 draws. Sydney boy, I've watched a lot of his fights, especially the few over the past few years. When we talk about Sam Goodman, he is someone that I'm not sure what we're going to see from him this weekend. This is a big step up for him. Obviously, he was supposed to fight Inoue on Christmas Eve of 2024. He gets a really bad cut to the eye. That fight doesn't ever happen. So he missed out on a big opportunity. And in this fight, he's stepping up in weight. Normally a super bantamweight, now going to fight at featherweight against someone that is a bit of a monster, a bit of a, like, they call him the wrecking ball, and there's a reason, because the activity, the pressure forward, and the power he produces is unbelievable. If you've seen him, he looks like a little ball of muscle. Sam Goodman, taller, probably more of a shape of your typical super bantamweight or featherweight fighter. But we've seen Nick Ball over the years fight tall fighters. We've seen him fight people his height. We've seen him fight probably big featherweighters like Raymond Ford. And he's been able to get through every challenge so far. Sam Goodman, his last fight was in May. He beat Cesar Vaca Espinoza, a very comfortable unanimous decision. I think he got 8 rounds to 2, 9 rounds to 1, and 10 rounds to 0. And before that, he fought in July of 2024, beating Long Fon by unanimous decision. That fight, after winning that, he was announced to be fighting in Inoue. Obviously, that never happened. Nick Ball, now he has a much better record, I would say. The fights and the fighters that he's fought and the occasions he's fought are much bigger than Sam Goodman. That's something that we're going to have to see whether Sam Goodman can adjust to. Because it is big. Sam Goodman has fought his career in Australia. It is a big task for Sam Goodman. Not only for his first title fight, but he's going to get himself to Riyadh. He's fighting in front of a massive crowd. Co-main title fight. These are all new things for him. Nick Ball, he's been there. He's done it. He's fought Ray Vargas in a title fight. He's beat Raymond Ford, someone that I think is exceptional, in a very close contest to get that WBA featherweight championship. And then since then, he's taken on Ronnie Rios and TJ Doheny. TJ Doheny, somebody that Sam Goodman has also beat. I think he beat him back in 2023 by unanimous decision. Nick Ball fought him this year in March, beating him by a round 10 retirement. So, look, they've both dealt with that same opponent. Very similar work. TJ Doheny's a very tough fighter. Nick Ball does get the stoppage, but Sam Goodman beat him probably equally as soundly. Obviously, he doesn't get the stoppage, but the unanimous decision was very wide. What do I think this fight's going to be? For me, I'm a big Sam Goodman fan, obviously. He's also from Sydney. Big fan of his. I'd love nothing more to see him get his hand lifted. But no doubt it's going to be tough. I would put, if Sam Goodman can go and beat Nick Ball in Riyadh, we're talking probably top 10 Aussie boxing moments of all time. I think it'll be that special. I think Nick Ball, he's been there. He's had the tougher fights. He's been in events like this. This is a new step up for Sam Goodman. He's never been on a stage like this. He's never been in a fight against someone as tough as Nick Ball. Sam Goodman's going to have to box his socks off, not only to win a decision, but to be able to pick Nick Ball off and stay at range. I do worry. I have seen against Cesar Varka, and even at points in Lung Fon bouts, that Sam Goodman did get caught a few times. He needs to make sure he doesn't switch off for 1 second in this fight. Box, feet, keep moving around. Don't let yourself get trapped into a corner, because Nick Ball, pressure and power this kid has. And from a very small height and a small target, he just wraps himself up into a little ball and starts swinging big menacing punches. So it's going to be difficult. He's going to have to pick him apart. Look, if I'm picking a winner with no bias, I'd be saying Nick Ball. But with bias, I want to see Sam Goodman win. I think he's got the skills to do it. I just hope he handles the occasion well. And to be honest, I'd love to just see him perform at his best. Lots of fighters, lots of champions don't do it on their first go. If Sam Goodman is unsuccessful in this, look, he's going to get another opportunity as long as he puts his best foot forward in this fight and performs. All right, let's talk about Raymond Ford versus Abraham Nova. Now, for me, I don't want to sound disrespectful to Abraham Nova. This should be not a walkthrough, but a comfortable fight for Raymond Ford to win. I think he's an exceptional fighter. We saw that against Nick Ball. We saw him destroy Thomas Matiche. I know he didn't offer much in that fight, but he still got the work done. Beat him comfortably, beat Orlando Gonzalez. And when you compare that to Abraham Nova's recent work, one win from his last four, beating Ivan Morez. He then drew to Humberto Galindo, and then lost back-to-back to Andres Cortez and Oshaki Foster. So you can see the levels. 26 years old, Raymond Ford, former world featherweight champion. I expect him to get back on the win column. This Abraham Nova could pose some threats, but look, Raymond Ford should get it done. Filip Hrgović versus David Adeleye. This is a tough fight. I wasn't impressed overly by Filip Hrgovic's last win against Joe Joyce. Thought he looked a bit slow and a bit, I don't know, it wasn't great. I wasn't wowed. For number 4 heavyweight, or whatever he's sitting at now, 4, 5, 6, whatever it is right now, it wasn't an exceptional performance. I didn't think Joe Joyce was great either on the night, and it ended up being a relatively close decision. He didn't impress. That was the problem. He didn't impress, but he gets the job done, becomes WBO International Heavyweight Champion. It wasn't the sort of performance that we saw when he beat Zhang or stopping Dempsey McKean, Mark Demori. They were better. I just don't know. The Joe Joyce one wasn't great. He is on a good run of form. I mean, 4 out of his last 5, that one loss being to Daniel Dubois, 8th round TKO when he went on that rampaging run, Daniel Dubois, of just knocking people out. But for Filip Hrgović, if he does have his eyes set on the biggest of biggest fights, he needs to beat David Adeleye, and he needs to be a lot better than he was against Joe Joyce. David Adeleye, he's coming off that contentious, to say the least, victory over Jamie TKV in April. Before that being Solomon Dackers, and then losing to Fabio Wardley for the British Commonwealth and European titles. That loss to Fabio Wardley, I mean, we know how good Fabio Wardley is and in that power, and we've seen how far Fabio Wardley is in the journey right now. Very, very close to a title shot. David Adeleye, I mean, I know the call was contentious, but the fact is, the record books show and everything else show that he knocked him out and he got that win. Win by any means necessary, I guess. And he got that work done, and he beat Jamie TKV, somebody that posed a lot of threats to David Adeleye. I think David Adeleye can pose threats to Filip Hrgović. I think we need to see a better Hrgović than we did last time. I think David Adeleye will come out to prove a point, not only that he is worthy of climbing these rankings, but that the win over Jamie TKV wasn't no luck. So it'll be a good fight. David Adelaide, he's still young, 27, 28 years old. Filip Pogovic, relatively old. I mean, it depends who you compare it to. 33 years of age. If you compare it to Usyk, it's not, but 33, 34, 35, that's when you start to slow down. So we'll have to see what Filip Pogovic is going to show after that fight against Joe Joyce. All right, last few bouts. We got Hayato Tsutsumi. He's taking on Case Ashfaq. And Muhammad Alakel taking on Unman Santosh Singh. Look, we got two youngsters here, Tsutsumi and Alakel, that they're still trying to drive through. Alakel's basically on every Riyadh card, and I'd expect both of the favourites to get this done. I would assume Alakel's definitely on the early prelim. I'm not sure whether Tsutsumi is on the main card or the prelim. But we'll see either way. Definitely have a watch. They're both very good fighters in themselves. In fact, Alakel got announced today to be fighting on the Canelo versus Crawford undercard, so he needs to get the work done in this one to move on to that one. All right, we're just going to end on some breaking news. Jerome Boots Ennis will face current IBO World Super Welterweight Champion Usama Lima in Philadelphia on the 11th of October. Usama Lima is 14 wins, 10 knockouts, 1 loss. Born in Angola, but resides in Portugal, and like I said, is the IBO World Super Welterweight Champion. One thing I will say about it is, I did find it a bit surprising considering they just announced that he's going to face Virgil Ortiz early next year. Still not a big fan of this planning before events have happened, but I think that's now what we're living in. Like I said, Alakel, he's fighting this weekend, but then 2 days ago they announced or whatever that he's fighting in a few months. I don't like it. I think just do one bit of business. You can sign the contract, just keep it under wraps, and then announce it as soon as the business is done. But whatever. Talking about the Canelo vs Crawford undercard, it is revealed that Callum Walsh will be taking on Fernando Vargas Jr., 10-weight super welterweight. Christian Bealey taking on Lester Martinez, 10-round super middleweight, and Muhammad Alakel versus John Ornelas in a 10-round catchweight bout. Lots of slander on this one, and I can understand it. It's not an outstanding card. Look, there's some good fighters on there, but when you look at what they're doing for Ring 4, even what they did for Ring 3, and some of the other cards that we've seen under the Riyadh, and to think it's such a big fight, we're talking possibly fight of the century, Canelo versus Crawford. It was disappointing, but I guess the fact is, you're going there to watch Canelo versus Crawford. I'm happy to watch that, and a few fights on the beforehand. That's fine. It doesn't really matter to me. I would like to see Christian Bealey fight again. We have been spoiled. I will say that we have been spoiled, and there's only so many fights that they can put on. I think Canelo versus Crawford is enough to carry the card, and then they can stack other cards to make them more appealing. I was surprised. This is the first TKO promotion. It's on Netflix. I would have thought they would have went a little bit more out for it, but I guess they looked around what was available, tried to build a card with Canelo versus Crawford being the main attraction. So as long as that fight doesn't disappoint, which it won't, it'll be a good night regardless. Last bit of news, according to Teofimo Lopez, his team approached Ryan Garcia's team and they turned down a fight between Teofimo Lopez and Ryan Garcia. What's going to happen with Teo? What's going to happen with Ryan Garcia next? I don't think anybody knows. Really, Teofimo Lopez should have been fighting Devin Haney, in my opinion. Ryan Garcia probably should have been fighting Devin Haney. Neither of those happened, so it's now Devin Haney versus Brian Norman Jr. They just need to work it out amongst themselves, honestly. I don't care at this point who versus who. Just sign the contracts and get it on. All right, guys, that is all the news for today. Just to recap, Nick Ball versus Sam Goodman. That is my fight of the week. That's the one I'm looking forward to the most. Sam Goodman, I believe you can do it, but it's going to be tough. The guy's going to have to go for an absolute war. I hope it's very competitive. I know Nick Ball, I've heard an interview with him. I think he was talking to Carl Frampton that he's aiming to knock him out in the first round. I don't think it'll be that simple at all. I do think Sam Goodman offers a lot. If he can use his boxing skills well and just stay off those ropes, stay away from him, he's got a chance. If I see Sam Goodman start to be overawed by the occasion or the pressure from Nick Ball, it could be danger signs. Filip Hrgović, I think this is a dangerous fight. I think I'm worried. What I saw against Joe Joyce, if he performs like that, he's going to lose. If we see what he's done previously, I think he'll be too good for David Adelaide. And just remember, guys, we'll be making a video talking about Moses Atauma versus Dillian Whyte later in the week. So definitely stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you're new. Like this video. Leave all your thoughts in the comments below. And I'm out of here, guys. See ya.